welcome to Songs Nobody Asked Me For. My name's Nigel. I am the singer and songwriter of the Plymouth-based indie funk band The Curve, and welcome to the podcast. This is good to do some fumbling and bumbling around the topic that I want to talk about today, because I kind of realised over the last couple of days that I've shifted into this place called writer's block. I think. I don't get this that often. Sometimes I do, and I was talking about this just the other day. I think I might have been talking to Craig about it, but talking about the idea that this is something that comes and goes, and that when I was younger I used to get very, very caught up in it and very worried about it. And mostly nowadays, I just kind of think, look, there's other things going on. It's all right. Let it go. It'll pass. All those sort of kind of like things you'd say to someone in a difficult relationship or something, which I guess maybe that's what it is with songwriting. It's a very difficult relationship. Sometimes it's creative and sometimes it's not. And it made me think of the episode I did with Cat Rose quite a long time ago, when we were talking about an analogy for songwriting as going for a poo. It's always sat with me. That was I have to credit her with that. Wish I'd come up with it. But I'm constipated at the moment, and you can be constipated for a while and not notice it or not realise it, and then slowly maybe you come across the realisation that you're constipated. And so I've got this kind of writer's block thing going on at the moment, and I thought it'd be interesting just to talk about it today, because I guess that's another difference between playing original music and playing covers or being in a tribute band, really, is that generally speaking, you might have, I don't know, maybe you'd have other blocks in your creativity and your ability to play a particular song or work something out, but then you've got lots of other songs to choose from, I suppose. And there are other dilemmas. I've been thinking recently that amongst my interviews, I should get somebody from a covers band I respect or like, and I can think of just the right covers band to come on the podcast and for us to talk a little bit about that, because I'm always keen to say, I'm hoping you know this, that I have nothing against covers bands. This podcast is about writing original music. This podcast is about surviving in that world out there as a songwriter, and what that feels like and what that process is and how it's different from playing other people's songs. But it doesn't mean I don't have a huge regard for many covers bands that I come across out there and their skill, because as I've said before, I couldn't do it really. And I'm thinking of one particular band that we played with in Battle of the Bands competition, and I talked about that, and I always knew they were going to win because they're a covers band, but they were also really, really good musicians, and it really was really good energy, and I think maybe I should try and interview them. That would be good, wouldn't it? But writer's block, clearly comes when you're writing. It doesn't come when you're not writing, and I've had it over times, and it's a funny thing because I've just been it's taken me forever, but editing. I think it's episode 39, which is Factor 50, the interview with Factor 50, which was hard work, not because of them. I loved them. They were great. They had a great energy, and I really enjoyed meeting them. And but because of where we were filming it, they were out in a car park, and I stupidly made this mistake of I must do this with people. Craig did it the other day, and I had to spend ages editing the video we did. Is if somebody meets me and they're on their phone, but their phone is in portrait. I talked about this, I think. And all I need to do is say, look, can you turn your phone sideways? And then they would be, because then when I go to edit it, it's really hard because they're really small and I'm really big, and it's complicated, and it makes the video look a little bit clunky sometimes because you see those changes all the time. But Eddie from that band was talking about songwriting as being something that you kind of feel like you almost, I think he said it was like breathing, or it was something you needed to do to survive. There's something, and I really think if you're a songwriter, creative person, I think it is like that, and maybe I can survive longer these days without writing a song. But when I was younger, it was such an important thing. I couldn't stop doing it, or trying to do it, or craving to do it, or trying to get these things going. And I think I talked before that I had what was called a dictaphone. I have something similar here. I mean, this is like a Walkman, and this is great because if you can see it, if you can't, this is a very modern version, and I used this to be able to play. I think I used one of my old band, Brilliant Butt tracks, on this one that I thought we'd lost actually, called "Find Out the Answer." I remember, and This converts tape into MP3, and it's great. It was really cheap. It's one of these sort of Chinese things, but it's amazing. But this is the sort of thing I had, but a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner. And I would have this with me when I was younger all the time. Once I'd managed to get one, I'm thinking probably in my 20s, but when I was a teenager and I was writing, you just had to remember stuff and I had to keep it in my head. Or I might be at home and I'd have one of these old cassette players, mono cassette player, which those of you old enough will remember, which had the same sort of cassettes, where are we? These things. So that's one of those cassettes. Some of you will know this, most of you know this very well, but these cassettes, this has one in here now, and I would have a mono cassette player. I might put a picture of one up here, and then I'd press record and play it, and then I could play, and I could redo it, but I could only do it if I was at home. But once I got one of these, it was amazing for me. It was revolutionary at the time. I would go around in shop corners when I was in London. If I'd suddenly got an idea, I was thinking something over, I'd just dum into it. And I'd have tapes and tapes of these. And I may have a couple of... I was looking for one so I could play you a little bit. It's embarrassing as well. This is me feeling so much more confident being with you these days that I could play this. This one is a tape I found. It's got best ideas. And I think what I did was, once I'd done all of that, I would go home and I would work on these ideas, and then eventually I would I would record all the time. And I think this is versions of sort of me with guitar playing. So I'm probably going to be in my early 20s here, or mid 20s, which is kind of weird. And most of those songs, 95% of those songs were never ever used and were pretty shit. And also, really embarrassing words and stuff. But I'm going to see. I've put it in. I'm going to play you a little bit of something. This beginning of the tape and see, and we'll see what it sounds like. But this is the kind of technology of what I had. I've got to try and gauge how loud it is as well. I'll find the volume on this. I haven't had this very long, so here we go. Little. Hopefully you can hear it. Not bad actually. I like that. That is not bad. I might use them. I might just unstuck myself. You can hear the little wobble in it because the recorder used to. Oh, well, I have to say that was better than I thought it was going to be. And I remember that song. This is the weird thing about it. There's all these little ideas and bits and pieces, and so many of them. But when I hear one, and I think, oh yeah, I remember that, And I don't know whether you could hear. I don't know. I'm only going to be able to play you this if when I listen back to it, you can hear it, But I'll have to work on the volume, see if I can get louder or quieter. But you could hear a little wobble in it as well, and that was where the tape recorder probably wasn't the best quality thing. So the tape would move in a slightly funny way, or the tape's gotten slightly warped. But I always remember it was always like that, But it was enough. You can see it's enough of a thing to hold on to an idea. And I'd be doing that, and I'm not going to play you. I haven't found it. I'm not going to play you one where I'm just the vocals along. I don't really want to do that. But fascinating to hear that. And I might listen to the rest of the tape now. I might find a couple of new songs. But I'm in this place now, and I realise because I've been so busy. I've been getting the event off the ground, and we've been playing gigs and trying to get the band fully up to a tight place, which I really think we're in now, which is lovely. And now we can move forward. And we tried some new songs and they didn't work. And that makes me feel a pressure, is that I feel I've got to write something new, Or I've got to do something else, And it's a little bit tricky to do that, And I think that one of the things I then do, and I did this the other day, which was quite interesting, is I then go back, because there's always half a dozen songs that could go back decades actually that I never did that I quite like. And I found one of them and I sent it to John saying, "Oh, this has really been on my mind," and I said, "Be honest," because John can sometimes go, "Oh yeah, we'll try it," and then I can work out later that he doesn't really like it. But he did say, "No, it's a bit dull," and when I listen to it again, I think, yeah, this is why these are the ones that have been left for 2, 3 years longer because they're okay, they're quite good. I like singing them, I like playing them, but I don't know, there's something missing in them, so they're not quite good enough. But I know I do that as well. I go back in time, and the funny thing is, it's not really. It doesn't feed this craving. It feeds a sort of thing that means I'm bringing something new to the band, because all of this neurosis stuff starts to creep into me of thinking, oh, maybe the band are fed up with my songs now, or maybe we're never going to do another one of these songs, or maybe I'm not going to be able to write anything anymore, and this will be the final time in which I can't do it. Um, and when I'm not feeling neurotic, I kind of know these things are not true. But it's a complicated process. And of course, you don't have this if you're not a creative artist of some sort, I'm sure, yeah, we can look to people who paint original paintings or write poetry or any other art form when you know that you're going to have periods when you have dry periods when you don't know what to do or what to how to do it, and it's painful. It is painful actually. It's hard to sort of express that because it sounds a bit up your arse really at the end of the day. Because you'd think, yeah, that can't, so what, oh poor you. But it does gnaw away at your inner being. It's kind of as Eddie said, really, you kind of it's not something you can just go, oh, I won't do this. I can say I won't do it for a while. I'll hold my breath for a while. I'll just hang in there. But it's not something you can do forever. And I think it is odd. It's because times are, I have diarrhea at times. I can just be churning out stuff. Other times I can't. And the last couple of years have been quite productive, really. And I've enjoyed that. And I did write something new, and that came from I've done one new song over the last month or so, 2 months really, and we're playing that now, and it was like that. It was so easy, and I might have talked about it before, but John brings some great bass riffs, and I know he wants us to do stuff with him, and I'd like to do stuff with him, and in particular this one, they all jammed, and in jamming with it, they came across. I did talk about it because I was talking about me being like dad and stopping everybody doing it, but they came across this really nice vibe from just this little hook, and they just kept playing that hook, and it's fine. And then what I did, and John said, "Wow, you did that in yeah," because we talked about this, John and I. I went home and I thought, oh, you can feel a song in this. Yeah, I did talk about it. It's a 3 chord song, E, A, B. Anyway, I'm not going to talk to it, but it came out very easily, and that was that. It was simple, done. And then I think, oh, maybe I'm not going to be able to write anything myself and bring it to the band, but the band will be able to do stuff, and it could evolve in that way. I'd like to think it just gives me another avenue. And John and I were talking about it when we went to this publicity sort of community gathering event that was in Plymouth for musicians and people in the music business, and I was saying, that I was aware that I hadn't written for ages, and John was saying, oh, he was worried about it because he's saying, well, you're doing so much at the moment and work and trying to get this event off the ground and the podcast and everything, and don't burn yourself out. I said, I'm not going to burn myself out, I don't think. But he was saying that he didn't like, this is when we finally decided actually the 2 songs we're doing at the moment are not going to work, and one of them he feels doesn't go anywhere, and the other I think he was saying it's quite a, when I play him a song that's got lots of strummy guitar, which is nearly all of mine do, but I know what he means in that song, then he just feels, well, I don't know where to go with it, I can't go anywhere with it. I did say to him, well, the difficulty is I write songs on guitar, and so they're always going to be a little bit sort of strummy, but John's my, what do you call it? I want to say my linchpin. Linchpin is fine, but that's not what I mean. He's the person I gauge things through, because if John's on board with something, it just it flows, And then if John's not on board with something, there's one of 2 things. I can really work with John, and sometimes, and I think that works. If I say to John, look, I love this song, I really want to make it work. Look, here's the idea I've got. But if I'm not sure and John doesn't like it, John will find it hard to get into it. He's very creative in his own way then, and if he's feeling something, he's feeling it. If he's not, it's very hard for him to go, oh yeah, I really want to do this and do it. And I get that really. This is a kind of different version of me writing a song and thinking, I don't really like it, or writing a song and thinking, I love this. And the hardest thing is when I write a song and I go, I love this, and nobody's that fussed about it, or people don't feel that. I wrote a song a while back, um, and it was called something like "That's Not How Love Is." I thought it was really good. And the trouble is, I probably have got it recorded because my phone now record everything, but it didn't really go anywhere. I thought it was really, really good, but it didn't go anywhere. So you find yourself in this place. Songs are blocked either by me not being able to find them, or me finding them but really not thinking they're that great but putting them forward anyway. And then they can get blocked via me and John sitting down and trying to work something out. I'll be sending it to John and John not like it. And that's the same as that used to happen with Pav, and probably more with Pav because Pav would just go, "No, I don't like it." And I'd be pretty crushed if I loved it. But yeah, John would be a gatekeeper. And I want that gatekeeper, but sometimes I have to push that gatekeeper. And sometimes the gatekeeper has to close the gate. It's a combination of those two things. And I think we do a dance around that. I don't think he likes saying, "Oh, I don't want to do this," and feels uncomfortable with it. And I don't like it when he does it if I really enjoy the song. But there's a quality check that sits within it. It's a good thing to do. But that can be a block, and then we can bring it to the band. And John and I might have worked something out, and the band just can't get it. Or I'm just listening and I'm thinking, this is not right. I don't think that happens so much. It's happened once or twice. One of the songs we do, I remember, "Now I'm Over Here." Was from John's bass. It was the first song I wrote, but that was a more complex song, and I wrote it on from. We had the bass riff, and then there's a lot more of the song, but we just couldn't get it to work. And it actually only really worked when Tim came along, and we suddenly started finding the light and shade in it. But not finding how that song needs to be, can be a real block. And it's generally light and shade. It's if we. I often think if a song isn't going to work, what it is that happens is we all just play it. Strum, 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 bass, 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 guitar, 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 all the way through. And then you're suddenly thinking, no, this song hasn't got any light and shade. Shades of grey is what you need in a song. It needs to be in places that go up and come down, and as well as the structure of the song. So as a songwriter, I would struggle with the structure of the song, but then the band has to struggle with the light and the shade and how we do it. It's complicated old stuff, and maybe, I don't know, maybe this is a surprise to you, or maybe you're thinking, what, I'm flipping fuss about nothing, but this is what you do. It's not, it's not, it really isn't. And yeah, I said earlier, it's like the loss of a relationship under strain. It's kind of, my relationship with my music comes under strain. Now, what I try to do, and I've been doing that at the moment, is I try to make myself work hard. Now that can go in two ways. So I can just say to myself, right, what I need to do is I need to sit with my guitar, I need to play, and I need to play. Not worry, I'm going to be looking for new chords, new riffs, something that works for me. And something might evolve. And sometimes what I get is just a little hook. And I don't know where it's got to go, I don't know if it's going to go. And then I just keep playing that hook and playing that hook. And then sometimes from that stuff emerges. Now I have a hook at the moment. I'm going to play it to you, which I've not done on here before. I once played my guitar on here, and I was so embarrassed because I don't like looking at what I look like, my face and everything when I'm actually playing. But I'm going to get up and I'm going to get my guitar and I'm going to see whether I can remember the hook and just play you the hook, because you're listening, you think, it's all right, but I can feel the beginnings of something from it. And whereas it was much easier to songwrite when I was a singer-songwriter, because I just had to think, how do these chords sound when I'm playing them? What I have to now have in my head is, where are the drums going to be in this? What sort of bass line do I want? And how do I remove some of the guitar? So I can't just necessarily. So I mean, John is right about that. In when some songs, you can have some songs in which the strumming guitar is what is the underlying thing, but there needs to be space within it. But so I might come up with a riff now, but the riff is sitting in my head more with, there's a bass line that I have in this, or there's a drum beat I have in this, and the drums is often key for me. And I've sent Tim two songs. I'm not going to say what they're complete, very, very different songs from other artists with beats that are sitting in my head. And I've not sent him anything else. And all I've done is I've sent him them with a message saying, is either of these beats a bit you could play? As in, are they easy? I don't mean, I think he could play pretty much any beats really, but is one of them straightforward? Is one of them that, because if it is, What I think I might do, I don't know, if I haven't written the song, I might just bring this little hook and see whether we can jam on it, because that seemed to work quite well when John did that. And I'd like to see whether people get anywhere with it. I'm going to stand up now and get my guitar, and I feel quite nervous about this. Oh, there we go. There we go. I got my ovation, and some of you will know I talked about this the other day. Well, I didn't. Yeah, well, I will have. It's difficult for me because things are always ahead and behind. But the one that's about to come out next, which is maybe 37, 38. I think I sat in a different direction and I was talking about my guitars, and I was talking about this Ovation as being my gig guitar. Now I've got to try and remember the riff, you see. Now back in the day it would have been that I would have had nothing to guide me by other than to sit here. Well, it distorted and I couldn't play it, you know. The other thing I might do is I could do a take 2 on the electric guitar. Yeah, maybe I'll do that now. So, here we go. I'm going to play it again now. And if the other one distorted, this will be the first one you heard. It's kind of... And then this other bit. Okay, there we are. One or the other hopefully will work. It's but there's not I don't have anything else. I kind of sometimes I have a tune, sort of a do 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 do. It's that sort of thing. Do 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 do. It's got that. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I'm really excited about it because it's the beginnings of something. Now you might think, well, that's pretty basic. Well, maybe, or you think it's shit or whatever. I like that other bit that I was playing there, and it may well be that they're 2 songs. I don't know. I like nowadays sometimes having something that's a little bit almost like discordant, and that where were we? That second chord is so that's I'm playing a C. It's out of tune. Sorry about that. And I've got the first finger off, and I'm sliding it up to make it the D, but I'm keeping that B on there. So it's actually slightly discordant. So when you play it, you go. Oh, I like that. And it's just like in our track Blood and Veins, where the intro goes on to, it uses C, it goes from E minor, but it goes to B flat, like that, and I like that. That's the one that's out of tune. I've got to do something about this, sorry. There we go. Yes. So in Blood and Veins, where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Blood and Veins, we've got a B flat, a D flat coming in. I like the discordancy of it. So this is how it goes up. This one. I love it. And then we're on an A minor 7th and a C. And when Brad plays his solo, I play them as chords and I strum them quite loud so you can hear them underneath there. So, and you can really hear them. So I'm sort of strumming and finger picking at the same time. I want to tell you, well, maybe it's interesting for you to hear this. I don't know. I hope you can hear it on the recording. But yeah, now it's in tune. So. Anyway, I see I'm getting into it now. So that's the other nice thing then, is once you start to think you might be unblocking a blockage, which just comes from a little idea sometimes. Sometimes I write a song, but this is coming from a little idea. Then I just want to play it, and unfortunately today I don't have the time to just play it, replay it really, which is disappointing, but exciting that maybe we're sort of getting somewhere, I think. Um, Watch this space. I will try to remember next time to see where I've got with that, and maybe you'll hear one of our songs at some point. And I wonder whether it will be the sort of song that you imagine it might be. I don't know, because things sometimes surprise me in this way, and I find myself thinking, oh, okay, that wasn't the song I was expecting to emerge, really. And that makes me think of my chat with Holly a long time ago, Holly and Ebony, and talking about our songs being a bit like children, really. And your child's being born, and then they don't look like you expected them to look, or they start to grow up and they look different from you first imagined they were going to be. And that's sometimes surprising and often very exciting and sometimes disappointing, and all of those things rolled together, really. So it's kind of, yeah, it's good. Right, I better go. Oh, that was good. I enjoyed that. And it was, I thought about this as a subject in the middle of the night when I was lying there trying to stop going over that little riff all the time, because that's the way it goes sometimes. Really, it's nice, but it can really piss you off because it becomes a bit obsessive. So yeah, please, as I'm always saying, please subscribe, please like wherever you are on this. Follow the band #Music the Curve. I'm setting up some more interviews. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, I've got one young act that I've booked in the date. I've got another young couple that are really pursuing me. They want to be interviewed, which is lovely. And I've got two or three others that I'm trying to hook up. One that I'm trying to try and meet during the day, and one probably I need to do online. The great thing is that Cafe Momus, the amazing Cafe Momus, go to Cafe Momus. It's in off Union Street in Plymouth in Stonehouse and opposite the big theatre, and that's such a nice place, and the culture there is so wonderful. Really, really like it. And yeah, just want you to know that they are fantastic. And they have offered me, I approached them and they've offered me their main back room when it's not in use to be able to do some recordings with people here. And that is fantastic. So I think when I first do it, my plan is to go around Cafe Momus and show you Cafe Momus. And if the guy who owns it's happy to say hello, I'll have a quick chat with him as well before I do the interview with the band. But yeah, really, really pleased with that. So excited to have found somewhere possibly where I can actually sit down with people and talk rather than these flipping hard work of editing and working out the sound properly on Zoom calls, which it's great that I have, but some people it's always going to have to be that, but less would be better, and being able to sit down and meet some of these people properly rather than just online would be amazing. Yeah, follow us, follow this, and I'll see you out there very, very soon.